Hello students, welcome to SST class. As today we are going to start with history lesson number 5. In this we have already learned in this class that how the Britishers came to India just with the aim of trade, but slowly they started to have control over different territories of India, and they started making the local nawabs and all under their control. Then we have seen different policies also were adopted by the Britishers to just earn profit, uh, either through trade or with any other policies. They want to just annex the territories of India in their own, and they wanted to rule. Previously, this was not the intention of the Britishers to rule over India, but slowly, when they saw that the kings, the rulers were not so much powerful, not so much strong, they started to have control over territories one by one. And for that, they had started many policies, they have taken many steps to have control over India, the various territories of India. And many new policies were started by them, like we can say that doctrine of lapse was there, and subsidiary alliance was there, due to which they had means if uh, anyway they had control over the territories of India. More and more they can annex territories of India in the supremacy of East India Company. So, this lesson, when people rebel, this means that now, due to much harsh treatment, the inequality done by the Britishers with Indians, the people started rebelling. The Indian people started to rebel. That means started to oppose, to show the discontentment against the Britishers. So, in this lesson, we are going to read about when people rebel. When did people rebel? At what extent they were suffered so much by the Britishers, they were tortured so much by the Britishers, they that they started, the Indians started opposing or showing the discontentment against the Britishers. And then we will further see in this lesson that 1857, the year 1857, and after that means a great rebellion by English Indians started against the Britishers, and that is called as 1857, uh, and it is also called as First War of Independence. 1857, it is the year when First War of Independence, that means against the Britishers, was done by the Indians. Now, when people rebel here, people refers to not a particular group of people, but the Indians, whosoever the groups they were, the peasants, the lawyers, the youths, the students, everybody was against the Britishers, and they started opposing against the policies of the Britishers, which were very harsh, which were treating Indians and Britishers not equally. And that is why people were very much against the Britishers, and they started to rebel against the Britishers. Now, against the East India Company. Now, policies and the people. Now, first, you see this picture, figure one. In this picture, you are able to see that the sepoys and peasants gather forces for the revolt that spread across the plains of North India in 1857. That means here sepoys. What does the word sepoy means? That was in the previous chapter. This is not the new word for you. Sepoy was the word used for soldiers. Sepoy is the word used for soldiers in the earlier period. That now this picture shows the sepoys, the soldiers, and the peasants. Peasants means farmers. They rose, they gathered their forces for the revolt, which was across the plains of North India in 1857 against the Britishers. So now the lessons begin with this, that policy and the people. What were the policies which had affected greatly to Indians to rose against the East India Company? In the previous chapters, you looked at the policies of East India Company and the effects they had on the different people. That means different people here refers to those policies had affected greatly in the lives of king also, king, queens, peasants, landlords, tribals, soldiers. Means each and every group of the society was very much affected by the policies which were started by the Britishers just for their own profit. Now, these policies were so much harsh for the Indian people that they finally made up their minds. They rose together, all together, against the East India Company to show their aggressiveness, to show their contentment towards the policies of the Britishers. Now, the kings and queens were very much against, because of the policies of doctrine of lapse. And doctrine of lapse was the policy which was started by the Britishers, by the East India Company. And according to doctrine of lapse, do you remember what happened? The king or the queen which was not having the heir, that means the successor as a son, then their territory was taken under consideration of East India Company. And these king and queens which were not having, they were not having their own son to rule the territory, then those territories were uh, seized by the East India Company, and these king and queens were not allowed to adopt the son for that, as to rule as a successor for them. So this was the doctrine of lapse. Then peasants also, many policies, many settlements were started, as you have already seen. Landlords, tribals also were very much disappointed by the policies, by the steps which were taken, because they were also taken out of their tribal lands and all were seized. Soldiers also were very much discontent because they were forced to join the army, and even they were not considered equal. They were not given equal position as the British soldiers. So all these groups of people finally were against the Britishers. Now, one by one, we will read this, how these group of people become against the East India Company and how they started a rebel, opposed to against the company. Since the mid 18th century, the Nawabs and the Rajas had seen their power erode. Now, mid 18th century, now the Nawabs were the rulers. We can say the rulers at in the early times were also called as Nawabs. The local Nawabs, the local rulers were called as, named as Nawabs. And the Rajas, they were seeing that their power was becoming deteriorated, that means becoming less day by day. They had gradually lost their authority and honor. All the respect was, and all the other authority which they were having, which these Nawabs and Rajas were having over their territories, those respect, those that respect and that authority was slowly declining due to the interference of East India Company in their administration. Now, residents had been stationed in many courts. That means, in many courts, the freedom of the rulers was reduced, and the Britishers used to set their own people in their particular territory, and their armed forces disbanded. Now, their armed forces was also disbanded because due to subsidiary, as you remember in the previous chapter, we have read about subsidiary alliance, in which the kings were not allowed to keep their own army, but instead, East India Company asked to take care to take care about the military and soldiers of East India Company by these local Nawabs and Rajas, and in return they will, which East India Company military and soldiers will look after to these local Nawabs and Raja's territory. And uh, if these rulers or Nawabs, we say, fail to give proper treatment to these British soldiers and military, their territory was again taken away or seized by the East India Company. So this was also happening here against the Nawabs. So many policies which were not fruitful, which were not favorable for the Indian people, and their revenues and territories taken away by stages. That means slowly, all the things, all the authorities, territories, respect, everything was taken away by the East India Company. If East India Company thought little bit also that these local Nawabs and Rajas are not listening to them, are not maintaining the authority of the East India Company, then their power or their territory was seized by the company. Next, we see that many ruling families also try to negotiate with the company to protect their interest. Now, to protect their interest, to so that these East India Company do not take their territories, many ruling families try to negotiate, make means proper planning to submit themselves to these East India Company. For example, Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi wanted the company to recognize her adopted son as the heir to the kingdom. Now, Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi was not having his own son, but she wanted to recognize his adopted son, which he had adopted as a heir to the kingdom after the death of her husband. And then Nana Sahib, who was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao II, pleaded that he be given his father's pension when the later died. That means when father died, Peshwa Bajira also uh, pleaded to East India Company that the pension should be given to the son. But however, the company, confident of its superiority and military powers, turned down these pleas. Means they did not take these considerations of these rulers. The East India Company did not take into consideration. Means Rani Lakshmibai was not asked to keep her adopted son as the heir of the kingdom, and finally Jhansi was annexed by the East India Company. And here second we see that Peshwa Bajira also, who pleaded for his father's pension, he was also not given such by the East India Company. Then next we see about Awadh. Awadh was also one of the last territories to be annexed. Means the last territory to be annexed under East India Company. Annexed means under the supremacy, which came under the supremacy of East India Company, which was under the control, which came under the control of East India Company, was Awadh. Now in 1801, the subsidiary alliance was imposed on Awadh. Now subsidiary alliance was imposed on Awadh also. Now, subsidiary alliance just now had made clear that the ruler of Awadh was not uh, asked to keep its own army or military with it. Instead, the East India Company will give them protection by its own army and military, and in return, the ruler of Awadh will take care of the whatever means things were needed for the military to maintain the soldiers military of the East India Company. The king of Awadh, the Raja, will take care of the East India Company soldiers. And when the Raja was not able to take proper care, or was not able to pay to the East India Company, finally Awadh was also annexed, was taken under control by East India Company. Now, Lord Dalhousie declared that the territory was being misgoverned and British rule was needed to ensure proper administration. Now, the reason Dalhousie gave why he should annex Awadh in its by East India Company, the reason Dalhousie declared that this territory of Awadh was misgoverned and was not being administered properly, and that is why British rule should be there for proper administration in Awadh. This was the reason given by Dalhousie just to annex Awadh under the East India Company. Next, we see that the company even began to plan how to bring the Mughal dynasty to an end. Now, last Mughal dynasty was there. Now, company was slowly planning how to bring this Mughal great dynasty to an end, so that finally they have the control over whole of Indian subcontinent. The name of the Mughal king was removed from the coins minted by the company. Now, the name of the Mughal king, which in the previous earlier years, we see that the coins were imprinted with the ruler's name and ruler's picture. That coins were now on those coins. Now, the East India Company removed the name of the king. In 1849, the Governor General Dalhousie announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, the family of the king would be shifted out of Red Fort. Now, Dalhousie, the Governor General, who was the Governor General in 1849, he also announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was the last emperor, the whole family of Bahadur Shah Zafar will be shifted out of Red Fort and they will be given another place in Delhi to reside in. That means now no longer the king will uh, the king or the family will live in the Red Fort, which was the residence of Mughal rule, Mughal emperors. Now, in 1856, Governor General Canning decided that Bahadur Shah Zafar would be the last Mughal king, and after his death, none of the descendants will be recognized as kings. They would just be called princes. That means now another policy was there of this East India Company, of these Britishers, that after Bahadur Shah Zafar, nobody was allowed to sit as a ruler of on the throne of Delhi, and instead they said that the last Mughal king will be Bahadur Shah Zafar only, and rest nobody will be sitting on the throne of Delhi to rule now, and everybody will be rest the son of Bahadur Shah Zafar and all the successors of them will be called as princes and not as the rulers. I think it is clear here. Now, next, the peasants and sepoys. Now, what happened to peasants and sepoys? Peasants means farmers. Farmers and sepoys. Sepoys means soldiers, earlier called as sepoys. Now, in the countryside, that means in the countryside means rural areas. Peasants and zamindars resented the high taxes. That means now previously we have seen in the previous earlier paragraphs we have seen how the company had affected the ruling families and how these ruling families has lost their territories for the East India Company due to various different policies made by the company. And now coming, and that is why they became against these ruling families, became against the East India Company. Now we see that the second group who opposed East India Company, that was of peasants and sepoys. Now, what was the reason of peasants and sepoys to go against East India Company? Now, these peasants and sepoys in the rural areas resented the high taxes, because now in rural areas, in villages and all, high taxes were asked by East India Company to gain more and more profit from the Indians. And that is why the peasants and the zamindars, Indian zamindars, they resented, they denied to for giving the high taxes to East India Company. And the rigid, the very harsh methods of revenue collection was there. Uh, Many failed to pay back their loans to the moneylenders and gradually lost the lands they had tilled for generation. That means when any zamindar, when any peasants was not able to pay the loans to the moneylenders which were appointed by the East India Company only, they these zamindars, these peasants lost their land which they were tilling for generation. Means in on that land they were cultivating, they were doing agriculture, farming for generations, one after another. After the father, the son was now tilling the same land. But now that land was gradually seized by the East India Company, by the people of East India Company, just because now peasants and zamindars were not able to pay the loans, because that taxes, the loans were very high, and the method of revenue collection was also very harsh. Now the Indian sepoys. Now this was the thing about peasants and zamindars of the villages. Now the Indian sepoys also in the employ of companies also had a reason for discontent. That means now the Indian soldiers who were employed in the company's army, they also had a reason to show opposition against the East India Company. Now they were unhappy about their pay, allowances, and condition of services. Now, what was the reason that Indian sepoys, Indian soldiers were against the East India Company? Because they were not satisfied with the payment the East India Company was giving, with the allowances, extra money which the East India Company was giving, and the condition of services which East India Company was putting in front of these Indian soldiers. Now, some of the new rules, moreover, violated their religious sensibilities and beliefs. Now, the uh, religious sensibilities and beliefs means many new rules were imposed by the East India Company, which had violated, which had hindered a great uh, by the religious and sensibility and beliefs. Now, did you know that in those days, many people in the country believed that if they crossed the sea, they would lose their religion and caste? Now, in the earlier days, it was believed that if in the in Indian, it was believed that if they cross the sea, means if they go overseas, then they will definitely lose their religion. They will not be in touch with their caste, with their religion, with their customs, with their traditions. So the Indian soldiers did not want to cross the sea. They did not want to go the overseas to work for the East India Company. And so when in 1824 the sepoys were told to go to Burma by the sea route to fight the company, they refused to follow the order. Then in 1824, as it was believed by the Indian soldiers that they did not want to cross the sea, that they do not want to go overseas to serve the East India Company, they finally refused to go to Burma by the sea route to fight for the company. And this happened in 1824. And that is why they were severely punished. When they refused to go to Burma to fight for the company, these soldiers were severely punished. And then, since the issue did not die down in 1856, the company passed a new law which stated that every new person who took up employment in the company's army had to agree to serve overseas if required. Now, as now East India Company observed that many Indian soldiers were refusing to go overseas to serve or to fight for the company, then the severe action was taken, in which it was said that the any new person now being appointed in company's army will have to go overseas if the company says. Now, sepoys also reacted to what was happening in the countryside. Now, the sepoys also reacted. The reaction against the East India Company was there uh, in the countryside also of the sepoys, of the soldiers. Many of them were peasants and had families living in the villages. Now, many soldiers, Indian soldiers, were having their families living in the villages. So, what was happening in the villages to their families, they were all having the knowledge about that, and that is why. So, the anger of the peasants quickly spread among the sepoys. So, the anger of the peasants, of their family members, that was also spread among the soldiers, Indian soldiers. Clear? So, this was about the peasants and sepoys group who went against the East India Company due to the aggressive policies made by the Britishers. Now, coming to the next paragraph, responses to reforms. Now, what is responses to reforms? Now, the British believed that the Indian society had to be reformed. Now, few policies was we can say that were very fruitful, were very good for the Indians also. But many policies were started which just for the profit making of the Britishers. Now, responses to the reforms here means the Britishers believed that Indian society had to be reformed, means many changes had to be brought in Indian society. Now, laws were passed to stop the practice of sati and to encourage the marriage of widow. Now, the law, as the Britishers wanted to make changes, to make reform in the Indian society, they passed many laws in which they started means they wanted to stop the practice of sati. Means the practice of sati means you are aware of that in the earlier years when the king used to die in the battle, the queen was asked to die, means to make herself die on the same fire where the king was burned. So that was a sati, and to encourage the remarriage of widows. Now, this, if we see today, this was the good laws passed by the Britishers, but at that time, the people did not like these laws, the practice of sati, and the Britishers also encouraged the remarriage of widows. The widows, that means the women whose husband was no more, had died, then they were asked to remarry. English language education was actively promoted. Now, English language was also promoted during the East India Company, during the rule of Britishers. Now, after 1830, the company allowed Christian missionaries to function freely in its domain and even own land and property. Now, special treatment was given to the Christian people during the British time. Now, those who were Christian missionaries, those who used to propagate the Christian religion, they were given land, property, and they were allowed to function freely in the anywhere in the territory. In 1850, the new law was passed to make conversion to Christianity easier. That means in 1850, again a new law was passed in which the people who want to convert their religion from Hindu or from Muslim or from any other community, if they want to come to Christian, to become Christian, then they were allowed to convert their religion from any other religion to Christianity. It was made easier by the Britishers. Now, this law allowed an Indian who had converted to Christianity to inherit the property of his ancestors, and the one who had converted his religion to Christianity, means the person or the individual who had uh, previously was of some other religion, now had changed his religion or her religion into Christianity. Now, those people were allowed to inherit, to take the share in the property of the ancestors. Inherit means to take the share of the property of his ancestors, but rest they were not allowed to inherit the property of the ancestors, means forefathers. Many Indians began to feel that the British were destroying their religion, their social custom, and their traditional way of life. Now, due to this law, many Indians now started having the fear that now Britishers were destroying their own religion and their customs, their tradition, and their way of living, because they had passed now more and more people, those who want to get special treatment by the Britishers, then they will naturally change their own religion to Christianity. So these were the few reforms, few changes made by the Britishers in the society, Indian society. Now, through the eyes of the people, what people used to see. To get a glimpse of what people were thinking those days about British rule, you can study sources 1 and 2. This you can study, you can read these sources yourself as a homework for today. Clear? These sources you can read it yourself to just have a knowledge about what people were thinking about East India Company. Now I end the means today's class here only. We will continue our next class from the next topic, that is the mutiny becomes a popular rebellion. So in our next class, whenever we meet, whether in the live session or in the uploading of the video, please uh, we will continue with this. Please sit with the history book and the pencil to mark the important lines, we can say important sentences. Clear? Until then, you can read these sources and have the knowledge about what was the thinking of the people. Thank you.